Welcome back to a series so diabolical, even Darth Vader subscribed. In today's video, Hassan is getting absolutely obliterated for his appearance on the NPR podcast. He's now trying to brigade it with his fans, trying to change his PR. Hassan has brought yet another Hassan orbiter in the back to sit in his puck chair. Meanwhile, he goes on unhinged rants about Asmongold and Ethan. Hassan orbiting moon Frogan is in gigantic trouble. Time is running out and her tactic of hiding from Ethan is not working. YouTuber and lawyer Legal Mindset is calling her out, and a bunch of more updates. Subscribe for endless entertainment, the likes of which you've never seen before. Take it away, Jellywig.
Let's up those numbers!
Now let's begin with this video. Hassan Piker, a himbo gateway drug to the left. It's been a minute. And basically Hassan appeared on this podcast and was questioned on a bunch of things like masculinity, politics, and a bunch of other topics. And turns out the comment section is absolutely cooking him. So Hassan is trying to send his audience to try and change the narrative. So here we have the comments. Not sure that promoting 10 toes down with the Houthis is going to yield great results, to be honest. FYI, this guy said that people who support capitalism should be put into re-education camps and that freedom of speech should be banned after communism is installed in the US government. Why was there zero pushback on this or any of his horrible violent beliefs? Bro promotes terrorist propaganda on the regular. Bro needs to be on a watch list. My favorite streamer definitely didn't endorse Hamas, Hezbollah, and other civilian murdering terrorist orgs. Hassan claims his NPR podcast is being brigaded, instructs his audience to control the narrative.
The Americans, as a matter of fact, for example, have
comment sections are bullshit self-care. Oh no, they're being heavily brigaded, which of course, obviously, it is upon you, chatters, to go fucking seize control over the narrative and show support to NPR, which is unfortunately in a dire state and needs the support.
Okay, so basically you want them to brigade the comment section. Like, you're literally criticizing people for brigading while doing the exact same thing. Also, I don't think this comment section was brigaded. Literally nobody talked about this. This is people just organically noticing that you're a extremist freak who should not be allowed to associate with anyone and platform your propaganda. You're literally out here trying to send your audience to try and change the narrative on the video, and it didn't even work. Like, all the top comments are still just cooking you. And that's after you send thousands of people to try and fix your PR. I mean, how absolutely pathetic is that? Dude, this guy can't handle the slightest bit of criticism. He always has to try and manufacture good PR. And, you know, that's why the only, like, articles he reads are, like, his simp journalist friends. I think it's time to accept the fact that nobody likes you, dude. I wonder what would have happened to Hassan's career if he actually didn't say dumb stuff. To be fair, he just wouldn't have a career, so I guess that's why he says dumb stuff. Anyway, so let's actually check out the video. So first they talk about that title that he's like a himbo drug to the left or something.
You know, Hassan, I don't know if I've ever heard the term himbo gateway drug before. Is that how you describe yourself?
Yeah, I think that nails it, I guess. Just gateway drug to empathy.
Gateway
in
drug to empathy.
a himbo format.
Ah yes, Hassan Piker, the absolute personification of empathy itself. Bro spent a couple days with iDubbbz and downloaded the entire PDF for empathy. I mean, to be fair, Hassan has reached the age of 32, so I guess it kind of makes sense. The thing with Hassan's empathy, though, is that it's only for his side, and it's absolutely zero empathy for anyone that even mildly disagrees with you. So it's empathy for people like Frogan, you know, who's like, oh, I can't believe you guys are calling her fat. This is the most horrible thing in the world. Meanwhile, here he is trying to ruin Ethan's life for like a 1% disagreement. By the way, if you didn't know, himbo means like a good-looking but unintelligent man. So basically like a stupid meathead. Also, is it just me, but does he look like he aged 15 years in this like podcast setting or whatever? Brother, what meds are you actually on? Is this like does roids do this, or like what is going on here? Anyways, this next part he talks about games being political.
Bros, I think, are often stereotypically considered to be conservative. Why do you think, like, these activities, like working out, video games, etc., why do you think they are so conservative coded?
I wouldn't say they're necessarily conservative coded. I would just simply say that they are easier to be branded as apolitical. I mean, there's a very funny long-standing joke or meme in the gaming sphere where people will say, "Oh, why do you have politics in my video games?" Like, get politics out of my video games is like this rallying cry from Gamergate onward, and it usually is deployed at any video game that has like a black female protagonist, and then immediately that's like being considered as political. It's like the two genders, you know, white man and political, and these guys will unironically say things like Call of Duty is not political, or Call of Duty wasn't political until there was like a black woman in it. Yeah, they just don't understand that like Call of Duty has of course always been political. I mean, it's you know, sometimes making a criticism of American imperialism. In other instances, is quite literally defending American imperialism, but it's never not political.
Yeah, dude, let me give you a massive spoiler here. Most people don't give a shit about that stuff. They just want to shoot stuff. When I play COD, I'm not thinking of the underlying political undertones, all right? I'm not that fucking miserable. I just want to shoot some people in a video game. Dude, this guy has to turn everything into the most miserable, cringe, political war ever, bro. Life is not about that. And this guy has the audacity to say, my favorite anime is One Piece, guys. And it's not because of the characters, the world building, the story, you know, somewhat like reasonable, normal ways to like an anime, right? Instead, it's because, well, it's actually the underlying political message that really draws me in here. You know, like my real life terrorist friend here, right? He's just like Luffy, don't you see? He's oppressing the tyrannical government, of course. Bro, Hassan gotta be like the biggest buzzkill in the world. You just know this dude brings it up in every conversation ever, annoying the heck out of everybody. Like, everybody will just be having a good time, and then Hassan goes, but have you thought about the political and economic state of the world right now? Goes to Thanksgiving and I'm like, guys, I can't believe you're eating a turkey when there's a genocide going on. This is actually unacceptable, guys. Please donate. Please donate to my stream first, then Gaza, of course. Right, so this next part, he talks about his audience demographics, and this gotta be the biggest cap, bruh.
Who do you think your audience is, and what do you think they see in you?
My audience is pretty diverse, I would say. It's like quarter female, 75% male, which is 18 to 35-year-old men for the most part. And a lot of them are white. A lot of them are atheist or agnostic. A lot of them are in college and education, or you know, have just started their jobs.
But what do you think they are looking for from you? What do you think they like see in you that keeps them engaged?
I think that they want a shared space.
Yes, of course. They just want a shared space. They just want a safe space, guys. A safe space to support terrorism, of course. Very safe for everybody except civilians, I guess. Your demographic is literally terrorist supporters, like actual radical extremist far lefties, or in more recent times, blatant anti-Semites. Your audience is literally filled with Mike from PAs, bro. People who lose boxing matches to couches. People with absolutely failed lives who have got nothing better to do than see the entire world burn. This guy trying to pretend that his audience is like somewhat normal or the average person is just so ridiculous. Like, no regular well-meaning person is watching Hassan Piker and thinking, yeah, well, that's a pretty reasonable guy. I actually really agree with all of his opinions here. Moving on to this next part, he's crying about Asmongold again. Who would have thought, guys? It's another Tuesday, but this time he's got pathological liar Noah Samsen in the cuck chair to absolutely glaze him while he goes on unhinged rants. So it's like every week he has another person sit in that chair to be absolutely degraded and humiliated, from iDubbbz to a bunch of random other people. Like, he just keeps cycling them out over and over, trying to pretend he actually has friends. By the way, if you missed a couple episodes of the series, Noah Samsen is another Hassan orbiter and a YouTuber who is one of the most pathetic people on the planet. He lies constantly, misrepresents every single situation, literally a Hassan clone here. And this is a guy who said that we need to escalate, guys. We have direct physical access to the propagandists, the weapons, the politicians, etc. And essentially just implying that he wants to incite violence. Like, this guy's completely nuts.
We have direct geographical, physical access to the politicians, the propagandists, the weapons companies, and the supply chains that are facilitating this genocide. If we want this decide to stop, it's time to escalate.
So here they're talking about how Asmongold doesn't actually stream for money, but more like validation.
The reason why I brought up how he lives is because, one, he does live in filth. Okay, the fuck are you talking about? And two, that plays a role in this. It's not like I'm talking about how he doesn't give a shit about making extra money. People are wrong when they think he's doing this just for money. He's not doing it for money. You're misunderstanding the motivation here. Okay, make with that information what you will, but he's not doing this for money. He's doing this for validation. He's doing this for building a sense of community. He's doing this for having a shit ton of yes men. And if you do that because you have good takes, right? If you want to cultivate a community of yes men over your takes on like Blizzard, that's only going to take you so far, right? But if you just lean in to an existing, very successful political movement, that is a much easier way. That is a much easier way to develop an audience of loyal fans.
How does he do it every single time? He describes himself perfectly while attempting to describe Asmongold, dude. Dude, you yourself have latched onto the Free Palestine movement like a fucking parasite toxin. You know, you take the moderate left and make them more extreme and extreme and extreme. You use the war in Gaza to get followers and money while encouraging more and more extremism, supporting terrorists. And these people are so dumb. They legitimately think that donating to Hassan Piker is somehow helping Palestine. Like, you gotta be the dumbest, actual low IQ lobotomite, bro. And he still has to play victim. Like, he still has to cry, oh, I'm the underdog, guys. My position is actually so unpopular. Yeah, I mean, supporting terrorists tends to be a bit unpopular, man. Also, about Asmongold, isn't it like a good thing that he doesn't do it for money? Because that would be a pretty bad motivation to, you know, have all these opinions and it's all just for money. Then you can't really take that person seriously because they're literally doing it for money, right? Now, does he do it for validation? I mean, I don't know. I guess everybody sort of does a bit, right? More like he probably just wants to talk about shit. Like, why do I make these videos, right? I don't know. It's just kind of fun. Side effect is that, you know, there's generating money and entertaining tons of people, but mostly just because it's a fun hobby to have. Now, the real question is, why do you do this, Hassan? What the fuck is motivating your ass, all right? To become the most ultimate socialist, grifting, genuinely insane person with the most warped sense of justice I've ever seen. Then a chatter calls him out.
Can't you say that about yourself? Oops, sorry, you're trolling low. What the fuck? No, I won't say that about myself. And I don't say that about myself because my positions haven't dramatically shifted over the course of the past 12 years. And also, my position is not a profoundly popular one. A lot of people actually mistake it as a profoundly popular one because of my own popularity in this fucking sphere. So you think that this is like a global movement or something, okay? There is no socialist president.
Wow, you're so cool, Hassan. You're totally the underdog here. Man, you're fighting against the... Like, he legitimately thinks he's the main character in an anime or something. He legitimately thinks he's some sort of like a revolutionary trying to change the world, bro. Like, no, you're just a fucking Twitch streamer. And I just love how he constantly brings on new people to just sit there and watch him mauled at his chat, bro. Like, dude, imagine being one of these absolute cucks sitting right next to him, bro. Wow. He goes and looks to them like, I'm right, guys, right? Please validate me. I have the right opinion, right? You're talking about Asmongold having yes men. Who's the guy right next to you, bro? An actual, like, physical yes man right there. Asmon does whatever he wants and isn't wearing Gucci or trying to flash cash like the insecure bitch that Hassan is projecting so hard here. Every single time he invites someone over, he has to bring up Asmongold. Just ask him out already. Dude, that would be the craziest plot twist of all time. They go on a date. Moving on to Frogan getting absolutely cooked, right? Basically, last time we talked about how she was dodging being served more than 4 times. Rank #1 hide-and-seek player in the world somehow. Frogan got some unique abilities there. Basically, she had a week left to respond to Ethan's, lawsuit or whatever, right? And if she doesn't turn up with a lawyer, she basically loses to default judgment, right? And there's about 3 days left now, so we're gonna find out very quick. But well, let's have a legal mindset break it down as to how legally she actually is.
She has like 5 days to respond to our complaint or she loses by default. And this was last night. So it's probably down to 4 days. That's one of the most legally inaccurate takes ever. Okay. This is from the Starkers. Can't wait to see the case dismissed after Fro. What is she like? First of all, who calls her Fro? Like when I hear them call her Fro, it sounds like she's Froyo. Okay. Like I can't not think that she's frozen yogurt.
Wait, frozen yogurt? I said that a couple videos ago. Legal mindset. Welcome. Another fan of the series, baby. I'm telling you, the entire world is watching. Okay, he probably came up with that himself. But I'm telling you, all right, everybody is tuned into the cinema. Trust me, every single person you know, your great long lost grandfather's son's brother-in-law is watching. All right, even your dog is watching. I'm telling you, when you're not looking, they turn on the Pegasus series because it's just cinema. It's just cinema. No, but honestly, I love how he gives her like cute names like Froggy. Apparently she's a Froggy now. Diabolical. Then this next part, he talks about these snarkers trying to defend old Froggy.
After Fro files a motion to quash after being improperly served. This dude is such an idiot. He has all of his money and doesn't know what to do with it. So therefore, his quack of a lawyer is just taking it from him. LMAO. This is procedurally inaccurate and completely wrong. First of all, let's explain what a default judgment is. Okay. Default judgment is a court ruling in favor of the plaintiff, typically because the defendant does not file a defense or the defendant doesn't acknowledge the claim. So, if you just want to stick your head in the sand and pretend you don't know what's going on, you're likely going to get a default judgment. And beyond that, we all know that Frogan knows about this lawsuit. Like, it's not something that Frogan doesn't know about. It's very public. So it's very clear what's going on here to a judge that Frogan is trying to dodge this. Frogan is trying to evade this, right?
Oh, 100%. There is basically zero excuse she can use at this point. She can't claim that she was unaware because she has publicly acknowledged it. And honestly, Frogan, all the local McDonald's have been surrounded. We are prepared to take drastic measures in order to capture you. You don't want to harm the patties. Think of the burgers. Think of the lives you will actually be saving, all right? Think of all the innocent patties who won't have to suffer, all right? Just turn yourself in. Come out with your hands behind your back, if she can reach, all right? Come out or we're tossing a salad into the building, all right? You don't need like a flash grenade or anything, just a salad. Just toss one of those in there. She'll come running out. Trust me, okay? We're not playing games, Froggy. We're gonna bring out the heavy artillery. A spinach, a broccoli, cucumber. Anyways, this next part, he talks about how Frogan could possibly object to a default judgment, right? This was the argument the snarkers were making on the Reddit, like, Ethan can't win by default judgment because Frogan can just object because she hasn't been served properly.
However, Frogi Yogi does have a potential opportunity to challenge the default judgment. And she does that with an objection to the default judgment, which is a motion to set aside. So she can make a motion to set aside the default judgment. Not receiving the claim could be if the service, all types of service were invalid. But I guarantee you that at least one type of service that they used on this, whether it was, hand delivery or publication or some sort of substitute service, was legally sufficient to provide notice of service or sufficient service to proceed with the case. They're not going to issue the default judgment typically if there was completely bunk service, but that the burden would be on Frogi to prove that.
Yeah, that is absolutely not happening. Ethan specifically hired a professional server, and in my estimate, it's like 99% chance that it was done in line with the rules. If Ethan got like a faulty server, that would just be highly unlikely. So she is legally considered served at this point. They tried to contact one of her relatives, apparently some African-American 155-pound whatever person, and apparently she's never seen Frogan in her life, which is a blatant lie. Just look up at the sky, right? She's orbiting around the planet. But so if she tries to object to the default judgment, it's probably not going to go well. Her best choice is to just respond in the next 3 days, or she's actually cooked. Also, legal mindset, I gotta give it to you. Frogy Yogi, dude, that is an absolutely endearing nickname. Now you're gonna make me feel bad for these people because that's actually kind of cute. But you know, honestly, even if she loses her job as a streamer and loses a bunch of money, I think she can pay it off. She can take up a job as a magician. You know, for my next trick, I'll make this burger disappear. Right, so this next part, he talks about what happens if Frogan actually wins, right? She objects to the default judgment and she actually wins that motion.
And here's where the snarkers are completely wrong, is even if Frogy objects to the default, and even if the judge grants her motion, if everything goes the same way, you know what the end result is? It's not the case being dropped, kids. It's the case proceeding as normal. So if Frogan goes through all this extra work, all she's going to do is have the case proceed as normal. Literally, somebody in the chat said it. Who said it here? Square one. It's back at square one. Congratulations, Frogan. You literally did nothing. You do all this work for freaking nothing. Wow, Queen. Wow. So smart. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Sigma.
Oh my God. A lawyer saying Sigma gotta be like top 10 internet moments. That's how much Hassan orbiters have fried people's brains. We got the lawyer saying Sigma slang here. But he's completely right? Escaping default judgment is going to put her back to square one, right? You still gotta win the initial lawsuit that Ethan has against you. And that is just not happening with all the evidence Ethan has shown, even in his public video. And I'm sure he has a bunch of shit behind the scenes as well. So I hate to say it, Frogan, after this, you might actually have to get a small fry. yeah, I know that's like a slur to you. A small anything is like an absolute slur to her. But yeah, you might have to cut back on the budget a little bit, you know. Maybe this will help you. Maybe it'll help you get in shape a little bit because you know, won't be able to afford the 60 million fucking calories, of course. But yeah, after this, he talks about potential fraud because we still have that situation with Frogan's GoFundMe where we don't know where that money actually is.
So here's our lovely Frogy. But she had this legal defense fund. And my concern is, what about the money? What did you do with the cash, Frogan? You're clearly not spending all that money on your lawsuit. And so the question is, where is that money going, Frogan? Is that going to your muffin budget?
This man said muffin budget. Muffin budget. When the lawyer is trolling you, you know you're absolutely cooked, man. Honestly, dude, I haven't had like a muffin in actual years. If Ethan wins this lawsuit, which he absolutely will, when he wins this lawsuit, man, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to buy a whole box of muffins or something. I might even eat it on camera, okay? Special occasion or something. You know what? I'll change my shirt. I'll even change my shirt, guys. My two promises right there.
And what happens if the funds were diverted to purposes other than the legal defense? That's a possible crime. That's a possible crime. Theft by deception, false pretenses, fraud. This is a type of fraud. Also wire fraud. So we're talking about potential theft or fraud. And once again, this is speculation. If she was misdirecting these funds, she could be fined. There can be restitution, meaning the money is returned to the people that donated. And there can even be prison time. So we need to figure out what's going on with that money.
Dude, if this ends with her getting put in prison, I will actually feel a bit bad. I feel like that is a bit unnecessary. Now, I think this was Legal Mindset's fault. He keeps calling her Frogy Yogi, Froyo, whatever. Now I'm actually, you know, I'm actually starting to take a liking to her a little bit. So, right? So, like, Frogan, just put down the Big Mac and pick up the lawyer, all right? Why make it so hard on yourself? Also, spend the GoFundMe money. Like, that is the reason they gave it to you. Spend it on lawyers. Now, if you've already spent it on DoorDash, I'm sorry you're cooked. Okay, we tried to tell you, but yeah, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that, even if you put in your thing personal expenses or whatever, right? So this next part, Legal Mindset talks about the message she actually put in her GoFundMe, right? And basically a bunch of people on Reddit, which is a bunch of unemployed idiots, right, are basically saying that she's allowed to use that money on, you know, personal expenses like food and stuff because she wrote their personal expenses, except that's not exactly how it works.
This fundraiser to cover any and all legal fees associated with this complaint and any counterclaims they have against them. So stop there. So far, as far as we know, She has not paid any legal fees, and she definitely hasn't filed any counterclaims. So as to these two, they're wrong. Now, here's the part where we might get into some debate. This next part, the part I underlined. She puts any other bills, and personal expenses. So she's going to argue, oh, I can put food under that.
Food, of course. Why wouldn't it be food, bro? Oh my God, this is so good.
I can put makeup under that because I need to look pretty for litigation. I can do all this sort of stuff. That's a personal expense. I can pay for like 22 layers of cover up. But the problem is, and then the rest of the language, from lost wages and damages arising from this litigation. Well, the question is, when you have arising from, if you're not participating in the litigation, if you are not fighting back, there's no litigation to speak of. Therefore, it's not arising from the litigation. So despite the fact that personal expenses is here and that might be valid, it's in connection with the litigation.
Oh, okay. So that's actually interesting. So she basically has to prove that her 52 Big Macs were actually related to the lawsuit. Well, I mean, I guess you could find a couple arguments for that. Ethan lawsuit scared me so much, I started stress eating, right? So I kind of needed that fuel in order to take on this lawsuit. Also, I was in this massive hide and seek game, you know, this game of tag with Ethan's server. So I needed the energy, the calories to run away. Run, that's roll away, maybe something like that, right? Yeah, but honestly, do I actually believe that she's going to, get jailed for fraud or something? Highly unlikely, all right? In all likelihood, if I had to guess, she's just going to respond eventually and then, use the GoFundMe money for lawyer fees. But I don't know at this point. Anything can happen. If you asked me before this that Frogan would be trying to fucking hide from Ethan's server or any of this would be happening, I would have said no. Okay, I would have said that is very unlikely, right? Because that's just so stupid. Like, you immediately, if you're getting sued, you immediately contact a lawyer, you immediately get legal counsel and do the appropriate shit because you have no expertise here. You don't try to do the shit, delete your VODs and shit like that. That's not gonna work, right? So anything can happen at this point. And, I just hope the thing that happens brings about the most entertainment and the most amount of videos because I don't care at this point. And also Ethan should win. Yes, of course. That part I care about. Right, so this next part he talks about Ethan's subpoena being granted, right? Because he wanted to uncover the identities of all the Redditors and Discord mods or whatever. And now he can.
As a reminder, Disloyal Denims literally betrayed the Reddit mods. She stabbed them in the back. She refused to defend them at all. She completely sacrificed them to the corn. And she gave up all of their information. She said, you know what? You can subpoena them. You can get all their information. Once again, this is why these people are going to fold like a sack of cards. They have no loyalty for each other. They don't care for each other at all. All of this, we're one big community. We're one big proletariat. That falls apart. That falls apart immediately when push comes to shove. And Discord and Reddit, I'm telling you right now, and I know this, I have friends that are civil litigators. I've seen this in other cases that we've studied, etc. Discord and Reddit are going to turn over all the data. They do not care. They have no dog in the fight to defend these people. None. Zero. They do not care. They do not want to fight and want to go into a huge legal battle over fighting the disclosure of information. They're just going to do it. They're going to roll over and do it.
And listen, don't try to erase them. If you erase them now, it's not going to look good.
You guys remember that? You guys remember what that is? Now, obstruction, it can't be obstruction. It can be obstruction, but spoliation of evidence. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. You guys in the class paying attention.
Oh, if I had to guess, I imagine they've already done that because before even contacting lawyers, if you're just a lay person, right, that is sort of your knee-jerk reaction to get rid of the evidence and pretend it's not there, right? For their sake, hopefully they didn't actually do that. Obviously, Discord and Reddit does not give a single fuck about anything but their bottom line, so they're not going to try to defend these random influencers or Redditors, even if some of the employees might agree with the extreme politics by Hassan and his squad or whatever. But all this theory crafting that these snarkers are doing on Reddit, on Twitter, that oh yeah, Ethan is just, not going to amount to anything. This lawsuit's not going to amount to anything. I mean, I just want to see their face, because it is definitely going to go somewhere. And they're probably going to laugh all the way to bankruptcy at this point, because that's just how their Reddit brain goes, act tough until you get completely cooked. Okay, so this next part, Legal Mindset, has a very interesting image on screen. Obviously completely unrelated. I don't know who that could possibly be, but legend says Jabba the Hutt is quite a popular character from Star Wars.
First of all, guys, listen, winning is not going to trial. Most cases do not proceed to trial. Less than 3% proceed to trial. If you go to trial, you are a loser. In fact, 97% of cases settle rather than going to trial, right? Trial is a huge tax on your finances, mental state, personal life, right? It's not something fun to go to. Like trial and going to court, you're kind of a loser. You really are. And settlement is an art. It really is an art form. And good lawyers, the ones that get paid a lot of money, are really good at settling and really good at negotiating. And these things are all going to come out. So earlier when I said, hey, you guys should settle, and I gave that genuine advice, I said, hey, turn on the mods, give them up, whatever. That's not enough anymore. That's not enough. Ethan knows he's going to get that stuff at this point. You waited too long. Sorry, you waited too long. So now you've got to give more.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed too. Like Ethan basically said he's not going to settle anymore. And yeah, I feel like he gave them the perfect deal. Sell out absolutely all of your friends. Maybe you get a chance. You get a little chance, Frogie. But yeah, as days go by, your chance gets slimmer and slimmer, and it's just not looking good at this point. But anyways, Asmongold also reacted to Legal Mindset here.
This is where the snarkers just are completely...
Wait, so are you telling me that a bunch of random Redditors with no degree or any sort of knowledge in this topic whatsoever actually don't know what they're talking about? There's no way.
Is that going to your muffin budget? Because it's certainly not going into responding to the claims.
So are we in a universe where if by her raising money for this legal defense, and then she doesn't actually meet it and defend herself, she could actually end up losing 2 court cases at the same time?
Right? Meaning the money is returned to the people that donated.
So the money gets returned to everybody. She loses the lawsuit against Ethan, and she also gets in trouble for fraud. Guys, I don't think I can take this much winning.
Bro, Asmon about to pull a Dan Clancy and start nutting on stream, bro. But honestly, this is crazy, okay? It has been non-stop W's, and this is just how it goes. Like, they started off so completely smug. Danims was on stream like, oh, Ethan is never gonna sue me. Oh, Ethan has no case on me.
How's the lawsuit going? Nowhere, because Ethan Klein's too much of a sue me. Because he knows he'll lose.
And now completely quiet, all right? Just getting absolutely cooked. And every time I just play that clip from episode 1 of the series where they are just doing the L dance and dancing in the content cop, dude. How the tables have turned. That is the fate of every single Hassan supporter right there. TNC's personal expenses, Frogan, 50,000 personalized muffins, please. Are you kidding me? Just 50,000? Are you talking about just breakfast? Please. Even the 24/7 stoned out mind of Casey Tron was able to answer with a lawyer. Maybe Frogan just ate 23 cheeseburgers a day to get the same high. Dude, can we just appreciate the amount of characters and all their distinct personalities here? I just find it so funny, dude. Now click this video or you become Frogan's personal chef. You're cooked, all right? You're working overtime. All right, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.